try and attempt today is give you our perspective of what digital transformation, again, means from progress perspective, and then we'll see what are the different tenets that we think are important so that you can go back and view your job role either from the business side or from the technology side and say, okay, I do seem to have a roadmap ahead of me. So with that, my email address is already shown on the screen, so we can move ahead from there. This thing happened, right? Yeah, the change. And we did not anticipate. None of us did, or did we? None of us did, right? And for those of you who are privileged to know about this, awesome. But the rest of us, this is pure currency or whatever paper you want to call it. As the Prime Minister has said, it's a piece of paper. Well, but this is the truth. This is the new constant. And the new constant is change. Now, and you've seen this always. You've seen this with the currency. You've seen full paper ads today from, I don't know, MobiKwik, Free Charge, Paytm, all of that. They've been there before. They suddenly come into the picture. So I was reading about it, and the newspapers were saying, what happens to all the cash delivery management services that were there before? They had tons of currency to move around. Now what happens? A lot of people from the rural India never took to Paytm, Free Charge, MobiKwik. What happens to them? Their life earnings are logged into currency. What happens to them? But the only thing that happens is change. And this is where we are all stuck up with today. Earlier, the systems would take months, years to evolve. Now they're pretty much a day's change. All right, Prime Minister decides it's going to be this way, and it is this way. And all our departments, and I know some of you are from banks as well, how do you accommodate for that? Tomorrow, a crisis breaks out. I still remember, and it's not a very proud moment, but I still remember we were about to launch Air Asia. Anybody from Air Asia here? None. Okay. So we were about to launch Air Asia website. And then you would remember a few planes went diving into the ocean. Do you remember those guys? Right? So again, at that time, the website was about to be launched, and then all of this started happening. So the management decided not a good time to launch, because the sentiment overruling at that time was people wanted safety, people wanted reassurance that everything is fine, not a new website launch. So immediately at the end of the day, all the websites in different countries, in different languages, had to be carrying a very different message, which otherwise a commercial message would be. So it was more reassurance, it was more, letting the customers know that everything is still fine. And to accommodate for that change, the technology and the IT guys here have to be doubly ready with whatever goes on there. So with that, to set the tone, I think we all recognize that, but I just wanted to mention this once again because this is so crucial. And just to give you a quick look on what we believe digital transformation can be, I have a quick video that I'd like to play for you.
Digital transformation isn't about technology. It's about business outcomes. Positive business outcomes require engaged customers. This requires a world-class customer experience and engaged employees. It's people, process, culture, and technology. It's solutions and products that put it all together to drive customer success. Since digital transformation is unique for every organization, developers need to lead and collaborate with marketing, business, and beyond to drive visionary transformation with compelling apps. Our role at Progress is to enable every developer and every customer to digitally transform in a way that fuels their ongoing success. Because when our customers succeed, there's no stopping us.
All right, so that was transforming experiences, and that's what we're going to cover today. I think enough said about digital transformation. I'll quickly move into what we see as digital transformation and what is our definition of digital transformation, both from business side as well as technology side, and then we'll look at a few inhibitors that we need to overcome. So with that, we did this survey of about 700 to 800 odd people with an agency, and we figured almost 96% of us agreed that digital transformation is important or very, very critical. Only 62%, only 62%. Well, they were saying that we are in complete denial. Would you agree with that number, or would you say in India this is larger or smaller with 62%? People who agree with me that people in denial of this transformation are more than 62 or less than 62. People who say more people are in denial of digital transformation, or they see business as usual going forward, please raise your hands. Who say more than 62? I thought so. I don't agree with that number. I think in India we are a little more advanced, a lot less people still in denial, so I would actually keep that number quite down, because while we are business as usual, Indians have always adopted much faster to change. So that's the good news as well. And then when we looked at digital transformation, we had some key points that we were able to distill out. The first, obviously, the business outcome is the key. While the IT guy has a seat on the table, what is key is driving the business outcome, and we'll see what are those. So does this digital transformation become a business conversation, or does it become a technology conversation? And we'll look at what that can be. And of course, given all of this, where does content come out, and how do we get people to, and why do we need to put out all that content? And finally, with the content, we are looking to drive customer engagement. And then even that may not be enough. And we'll see what all do we mean by all of this. So I'll move forward, and just with the strategy, as we were talking about to different customers, we spoke to them, we presented what I'm going to show you now, and asked them, okay, tell us, what do you think about this digital transformation strategy we told you about? And that's what their responses was. They were pretty much okay with what we were telling them. In fact, they said, okay, there are a lot of things that we didn't pay attention to, or some of those things that we need to pay attention to that you have addressed as you were talking. So FMCG guys like Diageo, bottling companies, manufacturing companies like Coca-Cola's Hellenic, and all of them. So when we said, what is the business outcome? So that was the first point when I said about distilling the key outcomes or key points. The first was, it is all about business outcomes. What business outcomes are we talking about? 3 points here. The first obviously is customer success, which gets delivered only, and mind you, only by customer engagement. And when I say customer engagement, content is essential key. There are statistics and numbers that talk about 80% of customer journeys already over by the time he comes and actually visits your website. He's already gone to a comparison site to see how you compare. He's already looked at different customer review sites to see what's been the experience. If you've ever gone and bought a product at Amazon or Flipkart, it must be much more evident, where you look at the product and then you look at all the comments down below how the performance of the product was. So today a customer has a lot more price points, a lot more data points before he makes that decision. So that's the customer success. And of course, there are new market opportunities out there, new channels, new geographies, urban India, rural India, the way of doing business, COD versus our digital wallets. All of us are touched by it. And then finally, as we are bringing our customer, we are kind of moving towards delighting the customers. What happens to our partners and our own operational efficiency? The processes that took 24 hours to complete, which is pretty short, let's say 7 days to complete. A process like ETL, which is running for 7 days, gathering all the data, building up intelligence for you, took 7 days. And nobody has the patience. They want the data right there in 7 minutes. If there is a signal of a stock out, you want it in 7 minutes. We have just-in-time. A lot of manufacturing units have moved into just-in-time. And if we're still waiting for 7 days, it's not going to cut it. So 7 minutes it is. That's where we come down to organizational excellence. And those are the 3 pillars when we talk about business outcome. Whatever industry you are from, BFSI, healthcare, real estate, pharmaceutical, anything, FMCG, all these 3 would be important to you. Applied slightly differently, but definitely relevant to you. So here is the customer experience, the key pillar of everything. So 99% of us said that our efforts are towards increasing customer experience, and customer management. And a lot of what we are going to talk about today, just after the T, is going to be around improving customer experience and customer engagement. So whether we are going to talk about user experience, delighting the customers, or we are going to talk about omni-channel marketing if it comes to the web, mobile, all that will be covered during pre-lunch sessions. Now, 61% of you are also talking about customer engagement, but today, does customer engagement limit itself to web and mobile? Not really. We've moved forward. So we have another session later in the day which talks about new age interfaces, where we will talk about bots, augmented reality. We'll have some cool demos going on. And believe me, after this session, there is no session which is just talk. All right, so I'm the last one to commit the problem or be a part of that problem, but the rest will all be demos so that whatever they present to you, there is something to back it up with. And this is the next question that we had talked about. When we talk about from business to technology, from those of you who are from the IT background, you must be thinking, hey, but he's talking all this stuff about bots, AR, mobility. What happens to my governance? How do I make sure my edge is secure? How do I make sure people inside who are doing stuff are not doing stuff that they're not supposed to do? How do I manage my governance? If it is done, who is responsible for doing that? All that forms a part of the governance. So what do I do? And the answer obviously is written on the slide at the top. It is both. And you have customers versus employees. Do I make it easy for the customer? Do I make it easy for the employee? Do I have a single window of clearance? Or do I have different departments working different, where the customer moves from counter A to B to C to D? And this would be in our lifetimes, you would have seen it. The banks, when you went to before, there was counter for getting your cash done. There was a counter for doing your check done. Counter for, issuing a counter, and so on and so forth. Today you have a single window clearance. Whatever you want done, here is your token. Go and get your stuff done. There, the focus from employee to customer. And then customers want this done quickly. And each time a banker calls me saying, you do this, I say, I don't want to go to your bank. And they get offended by it. Like, why don't you want to come to our bank? We offer coffee. We have all these services, great services. And I'm like, each time I walk to your bank, I'm spending all the time commuting there in the heavy traffic. I'm from Delhi, heavy traffic of Delhi, go through, sit in your office, and then come back. So all the time that I could have saved, probably an hour or two, I would probably do much more. So customer centricity versus employee centricity. Now we don't have to make a compromise anymore, because the technologies and the tools that we have today enable you to do both. You don't have to choose, and we'll see how. And of course, how do we improve this customer centricity is by giving them better engagement. And what are you going to engage them with? Content. So content becomes the key. We've already talked about how 80% of purchase decision is already over by the time either your sales guy walks into that door or the guy walks on your website and tries to figure what he wants to buy. Your channel partner, the time he reaches, the guy's already researched. So I'm giving you this policy, or I'm going to show you this mutual fund. The guy's already done his research. He's already gone to CRISIL website. He's already gone to, 2 more comparison websites to see your return for last 5 years was X, for last 3 years was X, and for the last year it was 1. And your total assets under control is this, and your expense ratio is this. What is the sales guy going to tell him when he lands up there? That's the question which you have to think about. What is he going to tell? Because the customer already knows. That's the power of customer content. So here it is. He goes through this journey which you're pretty much familiar with: discover, consider, decide, and use, right? What do we do as organizations? Well, we think we have to start right up front in the discovery stage, where we build mind share with content. Then in the consideration, we have to be more relevant, personalized for the person, and be credible at it. So thank you for visiting us from Mumbai, but really I don't know anything else about you. That's not going to cut it. Or Abhishek, you're from Delhi, but really I don't know much about you, while Abhishek has done all the stuff on the website. So how do we take all that information, distill it through all the pieces of information and technology that we have, and bring it back for the customer so that he sees that when I was interested in mutual funds, I was able to get something about mutual funds and all the comparisons that company A or company B was able to offer me. If I'm on the FMCG side, let me put a relevant example, let's say, of wellness products. Do I take product A or product B based on the reputation, because those guys are sold a lot on reputation? Do I like this, or does it use natural products, or was there something that happened in US and what happened in response to that activity? How did the company respond to it? All of that. That's where we have an opportunity to drive the sales. So the sales is shifting left. You must have heard of this term a lot, but the sales is also shifting to the left. Again, customer engagement, customer delight, and then guide, show, and persuade them. If there is an abandoned shopping cart, you go back to them, say, hey, you know, looks like you had a problem, maybe completing the transaction, internet went out, or whatever it is. Here is how you can complete it. And not just from a digital side. There's a lot to be said about bridging from the digital as well as in the real world. So that's guide, show, and persuade. And then finally, understand them as he goes through. Do you upsell? What do you upsell? And does it even make relevance to him depending on the life cycle stage that a person is? Is he a dink? Does he have children? Does he have grandparents living with them? All of that makes relevance. But then you should be able to crystallize all that content and all that relevance, all that context the customer is actually sharing with you knowingly, contextually, or unknowingly by his actions. So we can make those sense, and we have tools today to do this for you. And of course, this impact spreads from the web, mobile, in person, on the ground, on the channel, and even tomorrow, any other interfaces that may come across, which we will show one of them today. So with that, I'm very happy to announce our cloud-based digital transformation solution, which we are calling as Digital Factory. Now, it's simply put, as they said, a cloud-based digital transformation solution. What we had earlier was an in-premise solution that you could deploy in the enterprise and then get all the customer engagement content going. But tomorrow, you don't even have to worry about this. Everything is going in the cloud, and we are able to leverage the cloud to deliver products, services across geographies, and whenever there is like a bank rush, like right now what we are expecting today and tomorrow, we're still able to handle all of that. So cloud applied for your digital transformation is our Digital Factory. And in short, this is what it is. And the first time we're showing this, there is Digital Factory for sites. So think of them simply as digital transformation solutions for specific things that you want to do for your customers, for sites, for improving engagement, for mobile applications, and then to support all of that. And we'll see why we need these supporting architectures as well. There is business rules, data connectivity, developer tools, digital experience, testing tools, and also code-free app development. So all of that is put together, and we are calling it the Progress Digital Factory. I know this is a slightly longish slide, and probably not that content is pretty thin. All it really says is on the left side, there is omni-channel engagement that meets up with the centralized sites, app management, and at the bottom, we are driving all of this and then crystallizing information through customer analytics, be it descriptive, predictive, or prescriptive, and you'll see the examples of 3 such analytics today right after. You have business rules, and you have security and governance built in as well. So this is a solution which is sort of how we've put it together, but really what we're trying to say is we are going to put business and IT together and let them collaborate much easily. And we do recognize that none of it, or probably most of it, will not be done greenfield. You have your marketing systems running, you have your databases running, you have your apps running, you have your web applications running, you have your desktop applications running. We've been in business for 35 years, you say. What are you going to tell us now? I've spent 35 years, I've been doing business that way. What are you telling me now? 35 years later, you're going to tell me this is new, you do something new? No, not at all. Pretty much we've been in business for 35 years as well. We've faced the same challenges as you do. Our systems, to start with, our ordering system, our processing system, our support systems were all very different, and now they look all very different. Earlier, the only option for a person to do whenever he needed support was to pick up a call and say, hey, I have this problem. Today, we enable him to go on the web, immediately log in his problem, and a click of a button, he can actually say, now I want you to show my screen so that you can tell me how it is happening, if you are in that tier. So there's transformation for us also. Yesterday, the only way to do any business with us was a sales rep walks in, You say, oh, here's a PO from us. Why don't you take this PO? Why don't you process this for me and then come back when the processing is done, then you release the licenses and a brand new shiny CD will come across. All over, not just with us, with a lot of other companies. You have e-licenses being issued. With us, you don't even have to do all that. You just go on the website, there's the product, you download it and you sign it. Further, here is a document that you can create a PO from yourself. You then send it to us. So our business has been equally changing. And today one of the demonstrations that we have is going to talk about an airline or I think an airport which has the same systems running. And you know the airport's very, very busy. No time to change over for anything because they're 24/7 running all around the year, right? So how do you make that change? Even when you have very, very intense systems, very business critical systems running, and we'll show you how one of them was able to still transform from the character-based interface right down to a cloud-based solution, and that will be a demo that we will show you today. So customer engagement we've talked about a lot, but what is the key piece we are still missing? What we are missing is connectivity to our back-end systems. If we're going to say customer is the key and I want to distill information out of it, how do I do it? Where is my customer data living? Oh, it's living in the CRM, by the way. Of course, it is living there. Oh, it's living in the processing system because he was issued a policy that day. Of course, it is living there. Oh, it's also living in the warehouse because that's what he ordered from last time, right? So it's all running everywhere. And what you're doing is still trying to figure out how do I get this information, because the CIO then had created this system which he really liked and which was right. And then there was another CIO who said we needed to do this, and he did this, which was also right. And then there is a new guy who said, you know what, we need a Salesforce, you know, rest of this is not going to cut it because we need to do something, or something like CRM next. Also that data is still there as well. All my visits are logged in there, but my customer processing is here and everything else is there. All of three were right. And how you get to be right with all the three of your precedents, antecedents, even in the future, is going to be using data connectivity that connects across all of these diverse data sources. And that's where most of us suffer. We are thinking up here about customer experience and forgetting that our businesses have been running for 50 years. When I tell you, here's new, you will tell me, but we've been running for 50 years or more, 100 years. I'm proud I've been around for 150 years, and you should be. What you're forgetting at the same time is this is what is going to stop you. This is your inhibitor. This you have to think about really seriously how you're going to get. Some of you are already doing it. I hope many more of you will be able to do it. Of course, you are a 100-year-old company. I can't tell you what you're not doing. What I can tell you is what is one of the good things to do as you're thinking about your strategy. So I'll move from here a little bit. And just as I talk so much about connecting to your data, we have solutions. Ramesh in the beginning talked a lot about Data Direct and those solutions that have been there for a long time, connecting with all kinds of databases. We will have a session on data connectivity also just after lunch. But what we are actually announcing today is hybrid data pipeline. So what we're doing with data hybrid pipeline is what you have in-premise, we can get it out of your premises into the cloud or into any other managed or contained interface from the network. So let's say your data center lives in Mumbai and you need your data back in Kolkata. Of course, the only option earlier was a VPN, was it not? You need a dedicated line for it, and all the ISPs, gave you that, and then when the link went down, you had a backup line, and then that went down, you had another backup line. Can there be a simpler solution? Of course. Take a look, because we've got a hybrid data pipeline, which is a command center inside your organization. So you control what data gets exposed, if it's coming out of Cognos, your BI system, or if it is coming out of your Salesforce, your CRM system, or if it is coming out of your engagement system like Marketo, it is there as well, or if it is coming from any system that you may have. We enable data connectivity, and on the other end, we will expose it in a firewall-friendly fashion, and it will have a point that you can take out and take it anywhere over your normal public cloud or your private cloud or whatever you need it to. And this digital transformation journey may seem like a long shot, which a lot of you may have done, may not have done, but to talk about one digital transformation journey that one of our customers took, I would like to welcome Mr. Ganesh Ramaswamy, who's the Senior Manager for Digital Wing, and they've been on a journey of mobility. So welcome Ganesh. And Ganesh is from Himalaya, and I'd like him to say the story.
Morning everyone. I represent the digital wing at Himalaya Drug Company. Just to give a little bit on Himalaya. Himalaya has been a pharmaceutical major for quite a long time. And in the late 90s, we got into FMCG. And FMCG being a whole different ballgame compared to pharmaceutical, which is more consumer driven. The last 7 years has been very exciting for us in terms of how the company has transformed from being just a pharmaceutical company to a FMCG major. Along with that came some challenges, mainly being the digital disruption. So I'm talking about 3 things of what we saw at Himalaya and how we addressed the challenges and what opportunities we saw there. It all started way back in 2008 when our chairman received a letter from a customer saying, I'm a great fan of your products. I just met a gentleman today morning who said the same to me. And we are thrilled when we see consumers who are very excited about products. And he said, the only problem I face is getting your product. I need to travel 50 kilometers from home to access your product. Now, how can this be addressed? We saw an opportunity there that we could get the digital to help us supply this product to the consumer through e-commerce. That's when e-commerce happened in Himalaya way back in 2008. And ever since then, there's no looking back on that. And with the mobile revolution happening in India, which is much faster than a PC access, we saw that it's time that consumers are moving more towards a device that is always carried with them. And the challenge being, how do we seek this? I think we all use a smartphone here today. And the biggest challenge is how do we get into the 6-inch screen of a consumer? The retail experience for a consumer has always been a general trade, which was earlier probably a 10 by 10 Kirana store, which got moved to a modern trade setup with 1,000 square feet, 2,000 square feet showrooms. And now it is all of a sudden transformed into a very small screen of 6 inches. So how do we address this? Thanks to companies like Flipkart and Amazon who introduced the mobile app, we had to look at a way how we could get our app developed and move into a consumer's pocket. So we looked at technology partners that could help us undertake this entire disruption and transform the way we do business. And that's when we hit upon Telric platform, which helped us roll out the app in under just 6 months, both for iOS as well as Android. Now, the biggest challenge is how do we keep the consumer engaged with the app? So Telric platform not only provides design development, but also helps us with the analytics as well as the insights into what's happening with the app, the kind of usage, which helps us make decisions much better in terms of adopting to consumer needs. Now, most of the action happens from the data what we have seen in the last 6 months, most of the action happens from tier 3 and below towns, which also helps us address the distribution challenges. As a FMCG company, we have a good presence in tier 1 and tier 2, but when it comes to tier 3 and below, we still have challenges in distribution, which is very well addressed with the mobile app, which is gotten into people's pockets right from places like Kargi to places like Porbandar and many other towns which are classified tier 3 and below. So today a consumer can download the app, access Himalaya products, and with the vast variety of products that Himalaya has, from pharmaceutical to FMCG to baby care to wellness, all is available under a tap on the mobile phone. So what is disruption done to us? Disruption has enabled us transform our business and make the digital platform advantage to be provided to the consumer. And consumer being in the core of the experience here, like Abhishek was mentioning that before a user considers buying your product, 80% of the journey is finished when he enters your shop. So content is a major thing here that people would love to look at. Now, there's only so much you can put on a pack, be it a shampoo or be it a body lotion. But when it comes to the web and mobile, you got scope to give in so much content to consumers. So when you look at the whole digital transformation that we're talking about, there's a lot happening that on the web, be it social, be it e-commerce, or be it mobile, that we got to have platforms that enable us address things at a much faster pace and reach out to consumers. So I think the next slide will give us an overview of what we look at digital transformation as at Himalaya. Digital transformation for us translates to two words: consumer delight. So you see a whole web of activities happening there, be it e-commerce, omni-channel. So Himalaya has a presence of 180 retail stores across India as we speak. And how do we leverage their stores? So we kind of connect the entire supply chain, be it an online order from e-commerce website or be it a mobile app. It's being connected through the retail store for much faster deliveries. So we also talked about, Abhishek mentioning about the only constant being change. We see that a company that does not look at digital transformation as a way forward might not be in the run for making it big in the future going forward. So at Himalaya, that was seen probably a few years back, and a digital wing was given shape to. And that's how we have a team of people who are both in tech as well as marketing, who look at digital transformation as a larger exercise, and always consumer experience is at the core here. So what Telric has helped us do is get into that 6-inch real estate, which is the most costly real estate today, and be on the home screen of consumers, which has helped us do much better consumer experience here.
All right, thank you, Ganesh.
Thanks.
All right, any questions for Ganesh? I know this comes from the field, so any questions for Ganesh? Or
Thank you. Nice question there. So what we've done is we've come up with another app for the retail stores. So it's always like we're talking about content is king here. When a consumer walks into a store, Himalaya has roughly around 300 plus products in various categories. Now, how do you convert? The steps of a consumer to convert into a visitor to a consumer is first to inform him of what is available. Like I was mentioning, there's only so much you could do on a pack. So what we've done is we've got an app ready which is in the store, where a consumer can actually look at product information also, which would enable make much better decisions. Now, I would not say online to be restricted only to an app or an e-commerce website, but a lot of social activity that we've been doing on Facebook, very targeted to, say, pockets in cities or towns where our retail stores are present, has in fact helped us increase footfalls into the stores. So if you ask me for a metric, I would say footfall would be the metric we look at, and which has helped consumers move into the stores and make better decisions in buying products from us. So we definitely have had an offline, effect through the online channels that we've been operating.
okay, thank you so much, Ganesh. And just an insight, as I saw Himalaya from outside, pretty much this is how it has been with most of the organizations. There is a traditional IT responsible for your desktop maintenance, your network maintenance, your database maintenance, your every kind of maintenance, making sure we are able to do what we are able to do, as well as the new age digital wings that are there in most organizations. Gartner has talked about it as bimodal IT, so a lot of organizations have that. In most of the companies that I talk to, there's a chief digital officer that exists, who then is responsible for moving the organization really forward with an intent to integrate it back into IT when the time comes, because at that time there will be something new. And then not just tier 3 cities, Ganesh, I must also tell you, the spread of the mobile app is in foreign countries as well. As I was mentioning earlier, the moment we talked about Himalaya, and I mentioned to a few people internally that, their app has gone live, it has gone so much downloads, and so it's so popular, I get a call from Europe, where our headquarters is in Sofia. It says, oh, we know Himalaya products, we use them and we love them. I get another call from the United States saying, I use Himalaya products, I love them, and here is an app which is going to help me make a lot more purchase and know a lot more, because the only product that I was using was the baby shampoo for my baby at that time, because it was natural. So thank you once again, Ganesh, and it just to show you that it extends everywhere, not just tier 3, but even beyond the boundary. So unexpected gains there, right?
Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much. Should we start now? Should we start tomorrow? Day after? 2017 looks great, maybe 2018 is even better, 2019, new set of accounting standards get implemented around the world. When do we start? Well, here is what people are saying. 86%, if we don't start now, it's going to be a problem. And 59 to 60% feel that we are already too late in there. But for us, I believe in India, this may again be a little lower. Because as I said, we are very amenable to change. We've seen change as we've been growing, different organizations, different politicians, different political parties, different ideologies, different cultures. So good thing our numbers would be much, much lower than this. And that is an opportunity for us to move forward and think about digital transformation and what drives that success. All of that I have spoken about in one form or the other. But just to show you some more words, includes omni-channel, mobility, business applications, the way you look at it from the IT side, or you look at it from the business side, which says customer optimization, customer journey, customer engagement, partner engagement, marketing efficiency, and we will have in the panel in the evening, we will have people talk about that as well, developer efficiency, all of that is digital transformation. And finally, from a technology perspective, for those of you waiting saying he's been talking a lot business, but where is my infrastructure blueprint? Where is my app blueprint? Where is my technology blueprint? That's the blueprint, is what we are proposing. So we're going to give you the business side of it, which is what are the drivers, and here is the technical aspect from the blueprint perspective. So at the top, you've got your presence from engagement or web, not just web, but engagement perspective, including your web scale presence on the web, on mobile devices, on new age interfaces. You've got enterprise mobility, you've got omni-channel engagement. All of that forms the front of the funnel, or the tip of the spear, so to say. But to back it up, you need all this in the middle, or all this available with you as well. It includes app development and deployment, lots of it, and as you go forward, even more of them. All of that has to be backed with governance, where business automation comes in. You've got business rules, you've got business process management, and I'm pretty sure you're already doing this very well. And I'm not saying you can't use what you have already. I'm just giving you the blueprint. If you have it, it's awesome. If you don't have it, there is an opportunity to add that. Then there is business data connectivity. Includes not just the relational data, which you're familiar with, Oracle, Postgres, SQL, what have you, but you also include SaaS data, cloud data. You have big data for analytics, or logged into your BI systems, or even your traditional data interchange, text, XML, EDI, and so on. And of course, you want to do a lot of customer analytics, and you want a lot of reporting. A lot of times when I speak to organizations, they tell me we have this great BI suite living there, but I really can't get my data out that quickly because they take 7 days to pull a report for me. True. What can you do? Data connectivity and reporting, and we'll see what you can do about that as well. Very lightweight data reporting that is able to give you data very quickly without having to waste any more time. However, if you really want a deep analytical analysis done with machine learning, with dashboards pulled out, with ETL going, all of that stuff happening still, we have a solution for that. And there's something to be said about both. Very lightweight solutions, which are quick and fast to do because you need that insights today, versus deep analytical analysis of what can happen, and you want to be doubly sure that everything that you're doing is correct. With the amount of data that you have, which may be already exploding in terabytes, or I don't know, what is the word next to it, gigabytes or whatever that is. How do we make sure all of that happens and happens reliably? So to back that, we have got your back. There is solution stack for all of them that I've shown you before. Of course, exceeding customer goals, all of that. But here is what we are proposing. I showed you a little bit about digital factory. Looks very similar again. It is intentional because digital factory is what will put you in the next age. You want in-premise solution, you want on the cloud solution, it's all there. On the top of the funnel, obviously, on the tip of the spear is the digital factory for sites, digital factory for engagement, personalized digital factory for mobile as well. And for app development, these are the products which you will see over the day. We have for app development, no-code development solution called Rolebase. I talked about modernizing airport with a legacy application and keeping that system intact and still delivering a beautiful interface over it and doing it in a fashion that requires you to write no code whatsoever so that your application is available on the web and on the mobile and retaining everything that was great about that system. Predictability, everybody's familiar with it. I don't have to, change the interface. I don't want even a keystroke to change because in my sleep I can do all those keystrokes which otherwise I will have to learn. And believe me, I have come across more than 3 instances where people said, do not just touch anything. You add a field and I lose my keystrokes. So please don't change that either. And then you have a very modern UI. The session after will be about the modern UI, which is delivered through Telerik DevCraft. And we have quality assurance because nothing goes out without the quality door, which is Telerik Test Studio for testing web applications, desktop applications, and mobile applications. And if you are already in the microservices world with APIs, there is testing for that as well. And then in business automation, we have Corticon. Some of you may have heard of it. Others may have heard of other BPM solutions out there. But we have Corticon as the business rules engine, and we have an open edge business process management tooling available as well. From data connector perspective, we have talked about hybrid data connectivity delivered through Data Direct. From customer experience perspective, we'll have Sitefinity. A lot of you probably are familiar with Sitefinity. And then to back it, there is a marketing cloud setup which enables you to analyze all the information that is coming from Sitefinity or any other channel that you may have, including mobile, including bots, including anything else that you can think of. So we ingest all that data, run machine learning on that data and deliver to you the insight, which is not just predictive. It's not just going to predict this is what's going to happen. It's not linear regression alone. It's also going to be prescriptive, which is if you change this here, that is going to be impacted by that much there. So if you improve the visibility of the asset here by 20%, your conversions are going to improve by 60%, and you're going to see that in the omni-channel presentation that we are going to have today. And finally, we've talked about reporting and analytics, which forms the bedrock of monitoring everything. So there is open edge analytics, there is reporting, reporting by progress. This is a lightweight reporting solution. Our heavyweight is right up there, which is open edge analytics. And of course, I talked about the digital experience cloud, which is a marketing cloud, which is machine learning based. So we're just not saying, take machine learning, go figure what you're doing. But what we're doing is we are applying machine learning so that your marketing efforts can come to fruit, and they can show you how you can improve on your customer engagement, and again, upsell to the customer, cross-sell to the customer, and do it in a fashion that does not irritate the close of my session. Once again, this is progress. If you did not know us before, we are a NASDAQ listed company. Pretty much last year's revenue was about 412 million. We've existed since the CUI age, character user interface age. If you've used and the primary model of business operation, as I said, even that has transformed drastically for us, was earlier in the ISV space. So if you've used any IBM product, you've pretty much used us. If you've used Tableau, you've pretty much used us. If you've used a lot of ERPs anywhere, you've pretty much used us. And as you can see, there are people mentioned that you would be wondering how the hell do they use you? Well, all the solutions that I've told you have been embedded in those solutions as white label solutions. It's only about 2 years ago that we started being here and in a physical sense and talking more and more about it, but a lot of implementations exist. One of the largest implementations of the open edge systems lives right across here in India, and a system that you all have been touched with, Indian Postal Services. That scale already is running in India. So there's all over you. You may not know it, you may not see it, but that's the beauty of IT. When it's not seen, that's when it's the best. So with that, all these logos are there, but then let me just finally round up with saying what are the inhibitors. I don't want to be preachy, so I pretty much I'm sure you know what these are, and I would not waste your time going too much deep into this. The only thing is, think about a strategy, think about the issues that we've talked about, and if you need our help, we are around. And of course, there is always something, which is resistance to change. I don't think it is too much of a problem in India because we are pretty much flexible. See how well we are doing with the $500 and $1,000 change. And look how bad a few countries are doing because their president changed. You have people crying the whole night and stuff like that. Well, they won't shed a tear if the prime minister changed here or the president changed here. Well, that's all right. We are Indians. We can take that change. And with that, I'd like to thank you once again. And if you need us, of course, we are around. Please do reach out to us. Thank you so much. Enjoy your day. And the sessions that are coming up have a lot more to share, which includes delightful user experiences. And as you go down the line, you will see customer experience pre-lunch. And then you will have more and more data connectivity, analytics come up. And then at the end, you'll also have new age interfaces. We're going to round up with more industry insights with a panel discussion that starts at 4 with about 4 to 5 panelists from BFSI segment, from smart city initiatives to cloud providers like Microsoft. So all of them are going to be here, very real world. So hang around. Thank you once again for your time.